Hey guys, I am making a video today because a really fascinating subject came up. At one of my last Reiki sessions, my friend brought up trust and intimacy and the lack thereof. And it got me to thinking about that. You know, when we think about trust and intimacy, I generally think about just relationships and close friends and family and stuff, right? But my little boy and I took the light rail for the first time together, and it was cool. It was very cool. We got down from all the way south of Denver to downtown in like 20 minutes, which is awesome. So I'll be doing that more often. But in that, I had an experience where I was asking a couple beside me I asked them a question about the tram, and there was a guy that was several seats over, not close enough to be a part of the conversation. And I was talking to this people, and all of a sudden I look, and this guy is in this seat directly in front of me, right? And I thought it was kind of strange. Like, what is this guy doing? What is his motive? You know, and he was listening to my question, and he was like, oh yeah, you'll be fine. You know, so he answered my question, but it was just strange how he was not there, not close to me, and all of a sudden he was right there, you know? So it was just very strange. And that really got me to thinking about trusting others, trusting strangers, and what ways that we block ourselves from trusting people. And just like that, you know, thinking maybe that there's all other motives, you know, like, because I'm protective of my son, obviously, you know, and so my first thought is he gonna try to hurt my son? It's a big city, and I don't know, there's people that kidnap people out there, you know, so for me that was kind of a especially sensitive moment, you know. And then it got me to thinking about how much I trust others. And there was another conversation actually after that, which only even more so solidified my thought about that. You know, I was having a conversation with my friends, you know, about how they heard about a break-in and they were scared, right? And I heard that and I became scared, you know. It's like, oh my gosh, what if that happens to me, you know? And again, it brought up a trust issue. You know, you can't trust a stranger. And why not? Because we block ourselves from that, I think. You know, there are legitimate fears. I'm not saying that there aren't. But I think sometimes we take it a couple steps too far, you know? Like, if I'm, you know, I kind of live in an area where there's not really a lot of stuff going on. But would it be too much for me if I locked, you know, all of my locks and, you know, had all my lights on every single night? Yeah, that would probably be a little much. You know, locking all the windows and everything. For where I live, that's just not really that's not an issue for me, you know. And also too, I think that the more that we think about things like that, not just that, but anything, the more we think about it, it's probably going to happen, you know, in some way, you know, at least enough to help get you thinking about it, you know. It only takes 17 seconds for something to begin to manifest. And obviously the longer you think about it, the more probable it's going to manifest once you get into that vibration, you know. If you remain in the vibration of somebody's going to break into my home, or you know, somebody's probably I won't ride the train because somebody's gonna mug me on the train. It might happen, you know, maybe not aggressively, maybe not Um, I don't know. It might just be as simple as the machine took an extra dollar from you. You know, who knows? The universe works in amazing ways, you know. And it's all just to kind of help us reach those lessons and get us to where we need to be so we can be in our natural state, you know. So as for trusting others, how these are ways that I think that we can get there. Just by being open in our hearts. I think that's a huge factor. You know, I had a situation where my boundaries were very much broken. My privacy was broken into, and that definitely made me, I feel violated. I was very, very upset about that, and it wasn't the first time it's happened. Each time it's happened, it's always very violating. And what do? I continue keeping a journal. You know, that's what it is. My journal's been broken into several times, and it's not very nice. And it doesn't feel good. You know, my sisters did it, and it never felt good when they did it either. But I'm an adult now, so, you know, I get to take responsibility for all of my things, you know. Which was okay, you know, the result of it was becoming open and unblocking a lot of barriers. I didn't realize how much resistance I was carrying until that situation happened, you know. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise type of deal. And I think, and there are many, many ways to open our heart chakra. For me, Reiki is the biggest way that I open my heart. I give myself Reiki almost just about every day, or I really try to give myself Reiki every day, because it's important for me as a healer to keep that open for myself. And once I can begin trusting myself and keeping my own heart open, I can allow others to do the same and be there to help them create a space that they can do that, you know, that they can be honest with me and build a trusting relationship. And with that, we can use our intuition to navigate the relationship. Is another way that I was thinking on beginning how to trust other people, using our intuition to navigate the relationship. So of course I'm not going to spill all of my beans at one time, but there are ways to navigate that. You know, I don't want you to know everything about me at one time, and you probably don't either. You know, we ease into that relationship, and with that, as time goes on, then you create a trust, you create a bond. Besides intimacy in a romantic way, I think there is definitely intimacy in a friendship. You know, sharing those little things about yourself. You know, when you're with a friendship, you engage in touch, which is important. And yeah, I think creating that intimacy in a friendship or any relationship and using your intuition based on that. So, you know, maybe say your friend is not in the greatest place that day, and you're not sure if they want to be hugged or not at that time. You know, they're okay with you just sitting there, you know, with you just being there. You know, and definitely ask, you know, and that's another way to navigate, is just communicate with communicate vocally. But but if you're kind of feeling like there's, oh, maybe they don't want to be hugged, or maybe they wouldn't like me to hold their hand at this time, maybe don't. And if you're not sure, then yeah, ask for sure. There's no harm in asking, right? The worst they can say is no. I always heard that, and I'd always be like, yeah, but what if they say no? And I'd always be like, at one time it was like this entire like devastating moment, like, oh my god, what if they say no? This but I've learned that in saying no, we can use our boundaries to use as a guide, which helps to open up trust also. And that's saying no is also a trust. I'm trusting you with I'm trusting you to follow what I said. If I'm saying no, I trust that you're not going to do what I am opposed to, and vice versa. Boundaries are definitely a two-way street. You can't have it to where an individual says, no, I don't want you to do that, but here I am saying, yeah, I'm going to do that anyways. That's not fair. That is considered at that point, that is a toxic relationship, and it should be cut anyways. Let's see. Oh yeah. So then, another way to create trust, I think, is creating a safe space for ourselves. And that is definitely linked in with the boundaries. Once we create our boundaries, recognize them for what they are. There's a really great worksheet I recently printed off. I think it's kind of used in more like for group settings, but I found it helpful. There are other resources I'm going to look at in regards, because I think kind of what some of this stuff was, I'm looking for something else, but I definitely think it's a great start if you're not sure where to start on boundaries. And I think it's just called the Healthy Boundaries Worksheet. I mean, you could probably search in Google and it'll come up in the top 5. Usually what I do is top 3 are probably the first 3 choices are the ones I need to look at that are for me. I think once we begin creating those boundaries and create our own safe space for us to feel and recognize what we need, what we want, what we don't want, recognizing the chaos around us as clarity for what we want. So in chaos, that's one thing that you can take out from it is the clarity. Is this what I want? No. Okay. How can I better define what it is in my job, in my love life, in my my relationship with my parents? How can I learn how to trust people? Is this helping me, or is this hindering me in this moment? And yeah. And another thing that I have written down is that we all have trauma. And it's hard to remember that. I don't know, I'm not sure why. I think you really have to come to I don't know. It's just a totally different space when you can look at somebody and say, I recognize that they have their own issues, and that's why they're acting like this at this moment. And it's difficult to do that, especially when there's friction. When everything is going good and everything, you don't notice these glaring flaws. It's going to your own eyes. Because it just is. Because you notice it. There's no. It's not peaceful at that moment. So, but what I try to do is, when there's conflict, say, okay, I recognize this as conflict, first of all. Second of all, it doesn't have anything to do with me. And it's difficult, and I'm not sure if it's just that I'm being over analytical or over observational. But I'll remember, like, okay, well, so for last time when this happened, this occurred before that. You know, this other thing threw them into a frenzied state, or threw them into, you know, whatever emotion that is that they seem to be putting off. And so I try to remember that, and recognize that they are having they're dealing with their own issues, you know, and they haven't, sometimes other people haven't dealt with it. Maybe they don't know how. But again, creating that safe space for ourselves will lead to creating safe spaces for other people. And that's how we gain, can gain trust in ourselves and others, I think. I don't know. If I have any updates, I'll let you guys know. Because it's really, I don't know, this is just, I was having a conversation with one of my good friends the other day, and while we were talking, all this stuff just went boop, and there was literally this little light bulb that went boop, and that brought me to this stuff. It started off with being open in my heart. So I was being very, her and I were being very open and honest with each other, and I realized that in that moment I was putting a lot of trust in her. You know, the things that I was talking about at that moment, I hadn't told anybody about that stuff in a very long time. And there's one thing that I actually I think I admitted it out loud to myself, or maybe in my journal years prior, but I actually said it out loud, and that felt good to say. And so it made me realize how much I value other people and being able to feel like I can trust them. And it feels good. It's scary. It's vulnerable. But it feels good. It feels really good now, you know, because I know that she created a safe space. She has a safe space for herself where she allows herself to feel emotions, and I think that she feels that I'm a safe space for her as well. And, you know, just being able to share that kind of stuff with people, you know, you never know, which does it, from that, I think trusting others can lead to rejection, or the feelings of rejection. I think we put a lot of our own thoughts, you know, we worry about we project, that's what I'm trying to say. We project our emotions into a situation, which is kind of what I touched on in one of my other videos, I will not worry, which is one of the 5 Reiki principles. And I think when we begin worrying and projecting our supposed thoughts on a situation, then our fear of rejection goes up, our wanting to trust in people goes down. You know, those boundaries that we've set, I think they begin to falter at that moment, because we've created this scenario, and so we expect it to go that way. And then at that point, so then you've already preconceived these boundaries, you know, oh, well, they're just going to do this to me. Well, in your mind, you've already set that that's going to happen. So either it's going to be that way, or you can change your actions and it can go a different way. I think that's it. Yeah, rejection does hurt, but in the end, we're all gonna be okay, right? We're all gonna be all right. It's just fine. You just get extra hugs, you know, hang out with your friends, do things that bring you joy and appreciation and empowerment and love. Do those things. If you love to sing in the shower real loud, go for it. Do it, you know. And keeping in that high vibration is only going to help with those negative emotions, bring them into a more positive state, and also recognizing when, you know, like I've been recognizing that my friend and I had this great conversation. I'm in gratitude of that. So hopefully I get more pleasing conversations in that way. You know, like I said earlier, the law of attraction manifestation happens in 17 seconds. Remain grateful and in gratitude for all the trusting relationships that you have, and you'll get more. That's not a guarantee, because it does, well, I mean, it will be a guarantee, but you have to be in the vibration of it. So if you guys need to, check out the Vibrations by Abraham Hicks, or even there's a plethora of people that talk about, but Abraham Hicks is the main person who talks about staying in the vibrations to manifest your best life. I know Billy Carson, or Forbidden Knowledge, recently put up a YouTube video on how to manifest your desires. So I would go to him. And I think that's it. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave comments below. I would love to read what you guys have to say about trusting other people and experiences that you've had, and you know, moments that you realize that you had lack of trust, or moments that you have gained trust, because that's cool. Both are so cool, because it only leads us into more clarity and better quality relationships, you know. It's quite amazing. I was talking with a friend a couple days ago, and we were talking about this because I brought it up. You know, I've been having trust and intimacy issues, and she said, you know, after I had this really hard conversation, everything just fell away, and now it ended up turning out for the better, which is so awesome. I don't know why it's so hard to talk about this hard stuff and get your, you know, just get it out, you know, but it feels good afterwards, you know. It gets all stuffed in here in our throat chakra, you know, and then it gets boop 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 all in our system. It just clogs it all up, and we gotta do things we love in order to loosen it up, you know. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys. I love you. Bye.